So in January, I kind of started freaking out because I realized that I've been here for 4 months. Well, I had been here for 4 months, and I had no idea what I was going to do next. So I started brainstorming, kind of like I did back in May when I got this job, and I realized that the best way for me to stay in Europe and keep doing what I'm doing and traveling and stuff was to become a English teacher, teach English as a foreign language. So I did a little research online and I enrolled in a TEFL program. So I'm currently doing that, but I think that was like the biggest thing for January for me because I sort of came up with a tentative plan for next year. I'm still only about halfway through. I kind of took a break for about a month because I had a lot of travel going on, which I will talk about in a little bit. But it's so far really good. I'm not sure if I'm going to be the best teacher because I don't feel like I'm creative. And I feel like you kind of need to have a lot of creativity to come up with a really good lesson plan to encourage people to learn. But I'm hoping that this program will teach me how to come up with some creative ideas. So I'm hopeful that I will become a good teacher. So that's really exciting. Let's see, what else did I do in January? It was a lot of just hanging out. I became really, really close with my friend Ida. She's definitely my best friend here. We hang out like 4 or 5 times a week. We would hang out every day, but we both have to work. But yeah, she's so fun to hang out with. We're always just talking, going to bars and stuff. I don't know what I would do without her here. I think that I'd be, I don't know, things would just be a lot different if she wasn't here. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. But yeah, it was great. I really kind of hit my stride with hanging out with friends, enjoying the job, and I definitely still miss North Carolina and New Hampshire sometimes, but mainly Winston. But I'm really liking it here. Not all of January was spent only hanging out with Ida. I hung out with all my other friends too. One day we ended up going and playing soccer, which if you're reading this blog, you probably know I don't play soccer. I'm not sporty at all. I'm actually often hurt. So that was really interesting for me. It was really cool. So you go into this place and you, I don't know, rent the field or whatever, and they actually film it so that afterwards you can watch the video. So I've actually got a clip of me scoring my only goal ever in my entire life. So that's really exciting. So I'm going to see if I can put that in right now. So yeah, super exciting. Just to prove that I'm sort of sporty sometimes. Not really. But yeah, that was really fun. It's always just, I don't know. I really, really like my friends here. They're pretty cool. But yeah, most of January was just hanging out. I didn't really go anywhere until the last weekend of January. I had another weekend of work. So I went with Lula to visit her dad in Frankfurt. And that was actually really, really cool. We didn't get to see much at all of the city. The only time I really got out was when I had to run to the pharmacy. But her dad had a concert in Frankfurt, and we went 2 nights. And it was actually really cool. It was very different. It was this music discovery concert. So they had the orchestra, like you would expect from him. But then they also had this DJ piano player. His name's Oliver Koletzki, I think. He's pretty well known. He's actually on tour in America right now, according to his Facebook. He's in like San Diego or San Francisco or something. And his wife, who's a singer, was there, and they had 2 other singers and like a poet. And so it was like this mesh of like techno, house music, this light show, and each piece either had the piano to it, or Fran, one of the singers, would come out and sing a song along with the orchestra, or the poet came out and read some of his book. It was all in German, so I'm not really sure if he was a poet or just an author. I couldn't really understand, but everybody else was laughing, so it was like some sort of, I don't know, cool thing. But it was really, really cool. Like, I don't know, I don't know if I have a clip, but I'll try to put it on. But yeah, anyway, it was a really, really cool concert. Super glad that I got to go to that. Really, really cool experience. And I got to meet Oliver, and I got to meet Fran and the other singers, and that was just, I don't know, very, very cool. So even though I didn't get to see really any of Frankfurt, it was still a really cool trip. And Frankfurt's only 2 hours away, so I can always just hop on the bus one day and go, if I really want to, which I'll probably do at some point, because, you know, I don't want to leave here and say that I was so close to the city and never got to go. But yeah, so let's see. So Frankfurt was the last weekend in January, and then the next week worked a little bit, just hung out, and then that next weekend, literally like less than a week later, I went to Venice for the second time. And that was a completely different concert experience. It was a classical concert, and got to see more of Venice. It was a lot nicer this time than the last time I went. Well, I guess it was kind of the same, but the weather was a bit warmer and it didn't rain at all, so that was good in my book, because I do not like Venice in the rain, from the one time that I experienced it. But yeah, Venice was really cool. I got to see more of the city. I got to see the ghetto, which was really, really awesome. We got to go in, we took a tour of, I think it was 3 or 4 different synagogues. I learned that in a traditional synagogue, in any of the pictures that are inside, you're not allowed to have any living thing in the picture. So no humans, no animals. And so they've got these 6 depictions of parts of the Bible, scenes from the Bible, that are on like throughout the room. And each one is like a famous scene, but they've taken out any humans or animals. So it's just these pictures of the scenery, and they're just so beautiful. And as far as art goes, I prefer artwork that doesn't have any humans or animals in it. I really, really love landscapes, so I really prefer that to a traditional, I don't know, religious painting with a bunch of disciples or anything. I think that was really, really cool. I loved it. And yeah, that synagogue, the French synagogue, was just so beautiful. And then we ended up going outside to go to the last synagogue, which was right outside of the old ghetto. And it's where in the summer it still is used, and they always perform the weddings there. So that was really, really cool. I think that was probably my favorite part of that Venice trip. And we walked around a lot, and We ended up in the Castello district, and according to Tulu's dad, and we walked down this narrow or the street, and there were just all of these clothes on like the clotheslines hanging in between all of the buildings. I put it up on my Instagram. I'll put it here too. It was really, really pretty. I loved it. And the way that the sun was shining, it was gorgeous. That was one of my favorite scenes from Venice. After Venice was Chatel. And I actually just looked at my calendar. So just as a better timeline, I went to Frankfurt the last weekend of January to the 2nd of February. Then I was home for 3 days. And then I went to Venice. And then I was back from Venice for 5 days. And then I went to Chatel. So I'll talk about that in the next video because that was a personal trip and there's stories from that. But yeah, so just as a timeline right now, end of January basically is when I started traveling like constantly. So you'll see why I was so busy and why I just have not had any sort of willpower to write it all down because so much stuff has been happening.